not supposed to be broken all the time.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be sad all the time.
That's good.
You're not supposed to be anxious all the time. You're not even supposed to be any of those things the majority of the time.
Yeah.
Life is going to bring its inevitables. Well, I'm not naive about that.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to be sad, broken, angry, sick, tired, frustrated 80% of your life or 80% of your days. We're supposed to flip that.
What up, what up, what up? Listen, man, we are back again with another edition of a Father's Heart podcast with your boy Shon.
And your boy Cole.
And George.
Oh my gosh, again.
You gotta get that L
Yo,
done, George.
yeah, and you're
It's
gonna
all
like,
like,
and he's gonna pause and he's gonna hold it in that place.
You know what George has that we don't have? I don't know if you noticed it.
What's that?
He has a pen. I don't know if you noticed.
So this is a pen, but it's dual focus, right?
It's dual focus.
Actually, it's quad focus, right? So I have my iPad here in case you want to pull up current events, and so it's a stopless.
Got it.
See that?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
like if the lights were to go out, we didn't have a generator. It's a flashlight. See
Oh,
that? Okay. And then if I wanted to just blind somebody or do something stupid, it's also infrared light. You see that? So it's quad focus.
Okay.
We don't have blind somebody.
He did. I tried.
He said blind.
He definitely said blind.
I just don't see what the other reason they would put infrared lighting here besides getting me shot or something like that. Like there's literally no reason for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they put it in here, but I appreciate it.
You know, if you're doing a PowerPoint presentation or something, you gotta
see that.
That's
That was under
he said.
a PowerPoint presentation. He let me know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They use main speaker
Yes,
material.
that's why he said
That's keynote. That was keynote stuff. Right
yes,
there.
that's why he said
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I
I
got you.
spoke, but
Yeah.
not to the magnitude.
Here we go.
Okay,
Yeah,
you know.
Here we go.
And if you notice, we got stuff on our shirts, you know.
Correct.
And he is just debonair.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
Just solid. Just
GQ.
clean.
Just clean.
GQ. If you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we
That's
here.
what it is.
We here, y'all.
Yeah.
We here. We
here.
back.
Yeah.
And
We
we
back.
appreciate you being back.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Absolutely.
Could have a good time, man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. Yo.
So listen, I got a quote that I often use
Come on, man.
to set the stage
Let's
for
do
the
it.
conversation that I want to have with you guys, especially when we talk about our kids and our community.
Yeah.
So there's an African proverb that reads, "Children who are not embraced by their village will burn it down to feel its warmth." So when you think about that proverb, and you think about the children that are in all of our communities, right? You know, what does that reflect, or what does that question or that quote make you think about?
What that made me think about, man, is that the children will not destroy the community, but the children will act out from their pain and hurt those that are closest to them. And that's the people that's in their community, and the community may be even in their home. And where I sit, I'm seeing a lot of it.
Are you
right? I'm seeing a lot of it, and I'm seeing it more so not necessarily like in the news, right? Because I don't see or chase a lot of that, but I'm seeing it as it relates to request. I'm getting a lot more requests from schools.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot more requests from organizations of asking me to come in and talk to that demographic, knowing that my main demographic are, fathers, right?
Yeah.
But they are seeking help. And so I see an uptick in requests for me to come in and talk to that demographic.
And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's kind of can correlate with the book that you wrote. The title being Broken Boys Become Broken Men. Now, I'm sure from working in education and schools and different things like that, that a lot of them are calling you in for immediate things that's going on. But the way I look at it, as we go and infiltrate, if you will, these schools, is we being proactive, right?
Yeah.
Because fathers have been through what they've been through, and now we're pretty much being reactive based on what they have been through, experience, and things like that. And we're trying to come back and help, readjust or different things like that. Whereas if you get them at this age, this young age, then we might could possibly be put out of a job,
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
years from now
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Now, realistically, that's not going to
It's
happen.
not
you know
gonna
what I'm
happen.
saying? But we can absolutely make the presence known. We can absolutely do what we're called to do, what we're burdened to do, what we love to do. And that's hit from both ends. The fathers who have kind of walked through hell and back, and then the young men before they even have to touch that or experience that or things like that. So there's plenty of work to do. Just speaking to your comment or your phrase or whatnot, even right now in our city, I think it's been 4 murders on one side of the city in the last 3 days.
Wow.
And from what I'm hearing, is even this morning breakfast with a couple of gentlemen, the ages of the people that's perpetrating the crimes and whatnot are young. I think Ian told us 14 was one, you know what I'm saying? And so that definitely speaks to, you know what I'm saying, that proverb or whatnot that you were saying. And it's like, I remember 20 years ago when I first started working in schools, one of my mentors at the time told me, he said, "Oh, George, always remember this. Kids don't care to know unless they know that you care." And he was talking about, like, they ain't gonna care about reading, writing, arithmetic in a school setting if they don't know that the people that's pouring into them care. But community-wise, that can apply.
Absolutely.
If they don't think that the community care or the next door neighbor care or community activists care or politicians care or something like that, they just out here kind of existing, surviving, going for what they know, and all they know is what they see around them. Being desensitized to all types of atrocious acts and different things like that, to the point where I can participate in this and like it might not be consequences, or if there is consequences, I don't even care, because who cares about me?
And I think that's the thing too, and Shon, I go back to you about this one too, because yes, you work with fathers, but in all of our work with engaging fathers, one of the things that stands out is that they're all sons. Right? And so knowing that they're all sons to somebody's father, you know, and the possibility that they may become a father says that those are potential fathers in those school buildings, in our community. And so I think it really is important around how we make sure that we are elevating the fathers that you both serve in this community, to have them go out and provide that mentorship to those younger future fathers who we think potentially will be, you know, involved, right? And so I think too, when I think about young people, I mean, my work is centered around serving nothing but young people. I see them from the juvenile justice standpoint. I mean, you, George, may see them from the child welfare, mental health spaces. So we see a lot of these young people, and that proverb speaks to me because I'm like, kids do a lot of things to get attention. You know, so I will act out, I will yell, curse, scream, I will burn down a building, I will tear up the home if it gives me an opportunity, to be heard, it gives me an opportunity to be seen, it gives me an opportunity to be invited to the table. And they'll do it by any means necessary. And so I think to that proverb, how do we make sure that our kids in our communities are seen, heard, and valued, and brought to the table so that they can communicate what is happening to them? Because I feel like a lot of things when working with kids, they don't know how to communicate. I mean, we're talking to men who say they don't know how to communicate. So who's teaching boys how to become men and be able to communicate their emotions and their feelings? Like that's
I think I'm sorry.
No, go, bro.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I just think unfortunately it's pockets of safe spaces. But I say unfortunately because it's so spread out and so spread. It's not as a whole. And what I mean by that, you still have your certain element of society as far as males are concerned that practice, preach, and live that toxic masculinity where, hey, you can't show emotion, you can't express yourself. Anger is acceptable, aggression is acceptable, but not sadness, not weakness and stuff like that. When the fact of the matter is, realistically, every male gets weak at some point in time in life. And so because young boys are not allowed to do that, they do what they see. They mimic what they see, as opposed to saying, man, this hurt my feelings or this broke my heart. You know, even though every male has went through that at some point,
you can't
it's not allowed on a mass level. Like I said, there's safe spaces where they can come. Like Shon and I got some programs starting at the end of this month for young boys, and they're gonna be able to express themselves, and we're gonna teach them how to express themselves, you know, along the full spectrum of emotions and different things like that. But we're a pocket. And then there might be somebody on the other side of town doing something similar. There might be some people in schools who actually do care and allow that. But on a mass level, you still got that element that's like, this is manhood. And a lot of the stuff that they say is manhood is impossible to sustain.
Yeah.
Because in this life, you're going to go through the full range of emotions
Yeah.
multiple times,
Over and
frequent
over.
times, and every time you do and don't have that appropriate and adequate way to express that, it's going to be more piled on, and it's probably going to manifest in worse ways going forward.
Yeah.
So I think like it needs to be just a mass overhaul. How we do that? Don't ask me. He the visionary, not me. So I don't know.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But how do we do that on a mass level and make it safe for young men, boys, and different things like that? I don't have a clue. We gonna do our part. We've been doing our part, but I just think it's spread out and it's here and it's there and stuff like that. But it's not collective. So
My answer is with your last statement. The last word was collective.
yeah.
That's the only way it can be done.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at a soda bottle, if it's just sitting there, bro, it has a purpose, right? It's something that's supposed to quench your thirst or a taste or the whole nine, right? But then you take that boy and you shake it. What it does when you open it, it explodes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that soda bottle doesn't just become all of this fizz and all that. Like, it has the ability, it has all of the ingredients to explode.
Yeah.
But the handler is the one that can make it explode or not.
It determines the
It
reaction.
determines,
Yeah.
right?
That's good.
And so my thing is like the parent, the community, what are we doing to that child? That child didn't wake up
No.
and just learn how to shoot somebody in the head. That child grew up wanting to be happy. They knew no color as it relates to race. They didn't know. I mean, George and you guys could speak to the imbalance of somebody being born with some challenges mentally, right? Like those are isolated moments in people.
Absolutely.
But when we're talking about a child who was born perfectly fine, a lot of it has to do with his or her environment and what they are exposed to. So the responsibility is put back on the handler. And so, and who I'm going to put a lot more on is the parent, right? And for this reason alone, yes, I get it. I mean, what they are exposed to in the community, what they're exposed to out in the world, but it's my responsibility to try to fight that the best way that I know how in trying to protect them, right? Now, I may be limited in my resources as a parent, right? But I don't have as many resources as you to protect and all that. I get it, but we can't keep making excuses. It has to stop somewhere. My daughter is 20 years old, about to be 21, right? She can want to be a child her whole darn life, but she has to get to a place to where she has to be responsible for her actions.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to. So my thing again is that I believe it starts with the handler, and I use that word interchangeably. Community, those in authority, policymakers, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But most importantly, the parent, man, that's where I think that it starts. And I think that's where it begins to transform, right? I think that's where it starts. And when you said that collective, man, we have to work collective together, as agencies and organizations. And I'm going to speak to that. Like, we got thousands of them, just like you have churches. You have churches all over the place, right? Why do I have to open up another church? Why don't I just connect with you? Why don't I connect with you? Why? Well, because God gave me this vision, and my vision is so different than yours, and we can't. Yeah. Okay, all right. So we have all of these different churches out there with 3 people in them, with no power, with very little resources, so you can't do stuff.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with organizations. Because you have to be the one with the title, you have to be out front. So you want to start your organization, right? So, but why can't you come and collaborate with Involved Dad? That's not my lane, right? Come partner with us. I know how to do certain things. We can use your group, your organization to fulfill this assignment. I'm not therapy. Guess what?
Yeah.
That's what Reimage does.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to do it.
Yeah.
So we collaborate with Reimage. For Reimage to do that, he can eat, he can be satisfied by providing services to the people that he is called to do it, and he's happy. I'm happy of doing this part.
So what I hear a couple things, right? So collaboration, moving organizations, agencies out of silos into doing collective work. Let's go a little bit further back to community in terms of families trusting agencies and organizations, because I also hear that. I hear often been in spaces where you've got organizations, you have churches, you have all these people that have gotten this money and they're working, they have this mission and this vision around how they're going to serve families. But the families have participated and then the program stopped. Funding goes away.
Yep.
The person they were working with no longer works there. So there's no one operating under one umbrella to become almost what I like to describe as a resource broker to make sure that all of these organizations, I know as a family when I go to you, here's the array of services that this community provides. And these are the needs that I have, and I can go to you and you'll walk alongside me in that process, because it's really hard to be a person that's raising kids and struggling and working and then have to go to an agency where someone's asking you to tell your story over again, and then they don't necessarily have the resources that you actually need, and then they send you to someone else, but the person that they sent you to no longer works there, but you don't know that because you don't have a partnership or relationship with the organization. So one of the things I have learned with working with families is that trust is really key. And so how do we make sure that whatever these families turn up, because when families turn up for services, they're usually what? In a crisis.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
They're
the
not,
fan at
they're,
that point.
they're done with.
Yeah.
They're burnt out, they're overwhelmed, and they want someone to do something to fix it. And so just interested in your thoughts around how does trust need to look, or how does trust show up when we're talking about family engagement, but specifically working with boys who need our support? You know, what does that look like in terms of?
I'll speak from an agency standpoint, and then because George has been in schools a lot longer than me and all that, so he can speak from, parent, grassroots of the family, right? But I'll speak from an agency standpoint. I think it's extremely important, and it is our responsibility to make sure that we put the right people in the right position.
Okay.
As Nick Saban say, put the right people on the bus, right? Those who need to be on the bus, get them on. And those who don't need to be on the bus, get them off at the next stop. Get them off, right? And so what happens is when you show up at that agency, you need to have people that's on the bus that has the heart and a desire. And not just a heart and a desire, but have the skill set. To have the skill set to be able to navigate and maneuver and work with that family. Because in this space, it can be thankless. It can be thankless. Yes, when I come to your door, they crying, they kicking, they're screaming, and they may even cuss you out. But you signed up for this agency to say that you was going to provide this service to a community, especially in the inner city community where they experience so much trauma. So when they show up at your door, they're showing up with that trauma. And if you're not equipped as an agency to be able to answer that call, you need to pack your stuff up. You need to shut your doors and give that money to somebody else that have the heart and the desire and the skill set to serve that community, right? So I need to be responsible with partnering with the right. I don't partner with everybody. I'm not going to refer a lot of my men to any and everybody because I know how some of those people operate. So I'm not sending you over there. I'm not sending you over there. So I'm only going to operate or connect and align with people that I know that have the same mindset and have the same heart that we have over here. So it's that responsibility.
No, when we talk about trust, it's really tricky in my line of work because for me, in the population that I serve, and I have served every race, culture, socioeconomic status, and different things like that, but I know I have to be willing to think outside the box as far as building trust. And what I mean by that is in my formal training, I'm taught to not be personable, right? To almost to not be relatable. But one thing I know about the community that looks like me is I need to know you, or even if we just being flat, I need to know some of your dirt, you know what I'm saying, to be able to open up and share mine. I say that to say that I'm a little bit more transparent than I was taught to be, a little bit more vulnerable than I was trained to be.
Okay.
They know some of my stuff because what I've learned is don't nobody want to hear from perfect people.
No.
That's good.
Not
You know
at
what I'm saying?
all.
Nobody want to hear from perfect. How you gonna tell me you don't understand? You can't relate and different things like that. So my clients know a couple of my struggles. You know what I'm saying? They know things that I have to navigate through and different things like that. Even though I was like strongly informed or suggested to not do that, but if you build in trust and you won't long, and I want to be very clear, I'm not talking about codependency, right? I'm not talking about dual relationships where I'm stepping over, crossing boundaries and different things like that. But like, I want people to be able to know that, hey, like I'm here for you to be your most open, honest, and transparent self, because I think that is how we get to healing and recovery a little bit quicker. We expedite the process because a lot of times, it is not something that I started, but it's something that I had to learn because I was very rigid when I began. Like I was very rigid by textbook, by the book. You know what I'm saying? Like if you clock in for your hour session, you clock out. I see you next week.
Yeah.
But I noticed a pattern of people not being their true, genuine selves because they didn't want to be judged. Right? You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to be judged. They didn't, even though I wasn't in a place to judge anybody, they didn't want me to look at them differently and stuff like that. So as we began building that rapport and stuff like that, more things will come out that could have came out months ago, weeks ago, and everything like that, and we could have sped up the process. So I've learned, you know what I'm saying, to be as authentic as possible while not, breaking any ethics or anything like that. But at the same time, I think out the box. So I tell people, like, this is going to be traditional therapy in a sense, but also, you know what I'm saying, we're going to have some conversations, some true, open, honest, transparent, vulnerable conversations, and you sharing, and I'll share, you know what I'm saying, because ultimately, we want to get to the place where we're trying to get to, and that place is not a place of a perfect life, but at least an ideal life. You're not supposed to be broken all the time.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be sad all the time.
That's good.
You're not supposed to be anxious all the time. You're not even supposed to be any of those things the majority of the time.
Yeah.
Life is going to bring its inevitables. Well, I'm not naive about that.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to be sad, broken, angry, sick, tired, frustrated 80% of your life or 80% of your days. We're supposed to flip that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's what we work. That's what we work towards. We work towards the good outweighing the bad. We don't eradicate the bad. We don't erase the bad because life is life. But the good is supposed to outweigh the bad, and it's supposed to outweigh the bad in your life significantly. And I do mean significantly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that way, if you store it up on goodness, if you store it up on happiness, if you store it up on peace and different things like that, when the things of life do happen that's unfavorable or unfortunate, it don't knock the wind out of you, and then you don't go into a psychotic break. You don't go into a mental break. You don't go into an emotional break because you're not completely depleted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to store up those good moments. You have to store up those good memories. You have to store up those good experiences. So when life do what it's gonna do, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna be inconvenient. It's gonna, hurt your feelings, knock you down a little bit. But you'll be able to get back up, keep standing, and keep going.
Yeah.
That's good.
You'll be able to think out the box in whatever you're doing to help marginalized or unfortunate or less fortunate groups.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to.
So George, one of the things you just made me think about, if we go back to the African proverb, children that are not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. And we understand that recently there have been were these murders, a couple of murders here in the city. Knowing that that's the African proverb, knowing that this is what we're seeing in the city, what would you both say folks can do to support our children in this city? Especially based off of what you just described. We've got kids that are struggling with a variety of mental health challenges. We have family members that are struggling to even trust that they can even talk to anybody about those challenges. We know that we have agencies and organizations that are struggling to just, even collectively come together as it relates to operating funding and so, collectively working toward healing together. What would you say if our young people and our families are seeing that? What is the answer? What would you say we all can do?
Yeah, right, and I'll say what my wish list would be.
I like that. Maybe not the answer, but what's
my wish list? I was just on Facebook, and I think I put it in our private group chat, George, or ours. I don't know. It was in ours, but it was this educator, don't know where, and he was with some teenagers in his class, and there's probably about 20-something students, and he was teaching them how to interact with one another, how to date, how to communicate, not how to flirt, but just how to communicate, right? So he had, boys and the girls. He had a boy on one side of the table, a girl on the other side of the table. They had to put their phones down, and he literally had them talking at the table as if they were trying to entertain each other. Like he was modeling, made it fun. You could see the kids laughing. They were all engaged, and he got a testimony afterwards. Like the kids was like, "Oh my God, this was life changing. I didn't know it was so hard to communicate this way. He taught me all of these things." And so what I got out of that, I was like, you know what? That's the solution. Not necessarily that class, but I love how he brought real life experiences to the school. And so if you think about it, the school have our children majority of the day, of their waking hours.
Yes.
And so I think my wish list would be for the schools to partner more with community, right? To bring real life experiences. Kids should be learning how to be a father, how to be a mother, in school. Because if they're not getting it at home, at school, there needs to be created spaces for them to practice real life stuff, budgeting, and reinforced, right? Not a one-off like Shon come in and speak to my people.
Yeah.
Like throughout the year that you get in this whole thing. And so what's happening, everybody is being taught this in the school. So now it's not like, I don't know, I never heard it before. Now these kids are being exposed. I didn't know I could own a house until I was exposed that I could own a house, right? I had a renter's mentality. Nothing wrong with renting. But that was my thought process.
It wasn't touchable. It
wasn't touchable.
You wasn't aware.
Yeah.
You weren't exposed to it.
And so that's my thing, Cole, right? Is that would be mine, is to bring real life to the schools, because that's where kids are really experiencing real life.
So bringing back life skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
real life
intentional.
skills with
Home ec, all that stuff.
all that. All the things
I feel like a lot of those
It's gone.
day-to-day life stuff in exchange for scores on these standardized tests, or things like, if you're not going to certain fields like the cores that they have, why these kids struggling through trigonometry? Geometry. Some of them, I never had to use that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why is it a requirement? Not saying that it shouldn't be offered, but more realistic day-to-day things
that they
should be offered.
Yes.
Like here in the city, we got this DCI, used to be called Skills Center, where they have different trades and stuff that kids can go to as early as like 11th grade and stuff like that. But it's a certain amount of kids that get selected that can go. And so, but we know that the population, you know what I'm saying, I feel like it should be backwards. I feel like those things should be main things, and then the other more traditional stuff or less useful things, like, you know what I'm saying, foreign language is required. Why is it required? Should it be offered? Yes, but why is I think the whole educational system, as far as children and reality and the time that we're in, and I understand that they very much may have had a purpose when they were instituted, but everything evolves. Everything evolves. Everything changes. That is life. You know what I'm saying? That is the circle of life. But I feel like education being one, overall is one of the things that has not changed since, and a lot of the things are obsolete.
And George, I agree with you. And when I look at it, because you talk about being obsolete, since COVID, like we keep it 100, since COVID, churches have lost its thunder, right, in certain places, right? Not in all, but churches was really the bedrock of our community. And since COVID, a lot of people didn't go back to church. A lot of people, ideology and their thought processes about how they interact with, God and church has changed, right? A lot of people do it from home. They do it from the tablets, right? So you know, it's no longer that community, right? You know, in the churches, right? Except for those who like, hey, I need that.
Mhm.
But where are people still going? They are going to school, right? So we used to say, hey, we need to do this in church. Yes, do it in church, right?
Mhm.
But we need to really collaborate with the schools more. And you brought up the skill center. My daughter was nervous, but she was selected
Mhm.
to get into the skill center this year, right? And why I know it was incredible for her, like my daughter is blessed, bro. She's very athletic. She can get a scholarship to play in soccer. But what she really loved is doing hair,
Mhm.
nails, all of that stuff.
Okay.
So here they have her in a school that's going to really help cultivate
Yeah.
what she all from since she was
Her
a little
passion,
girl.
her actual interest.
Yes,
Which-
like
Yeah.
if soccer is cool,
Yeah.
she likes it, but her passion
Yep.
Yes.
is this.
Yeah.
And so now she's so, I guarantee you her grades are going to skyrocket
Yep.
because it's something that she loves.
Schools are so cookie cut as far as what they want to teach, and kids learn different.
Yep.
They have different interests. They process different, and so. But the other end of that is when they don't do well on these standardized tests or just regular grades,
Mhm.
semester and marker period, that has a direct impact on their confidence, self-esteem,
Yeah.
self-image, self-worth. And you know what I'm saying?
Side note.
It is not that these kids are intelligent. It's not that these kids are slow. It's not that these kids are dumb or anything. It's that, hey, this kid likes to build cars, or this kid likes to cut hair. So maybe on their tests, they're not going to on the geometry test. They're not going to ace it. They're not going to. They might not even pass. But when you get that F sitting in front of you, you know what I'm saying, and your boys or your homegirls around, and they dragging or blazing or whatever, that directly affects. Like it's collectively, it's not good.
So when we think about the young men that might be on the other end of the violence, right? We have to ask the question: what path was he on?
Yep.
What school? Yeah. What school was he in where somehow his passion was not cultivated?
Yeah.
Right? And recognizing that there is a pathway for kids who act out behaviorally, emotionally, physically, and that pathway tends to be the juvenile criminal justice system. So when we think about the school to prison pipelines, part of my question is, how have our communities created pipelines for incarceration? Because I feel like that's really what we're really up against. We've got kids who get suspended from school for acting out, who are struggling with anxiety and depression, but don't verbally have the communication to express it. But we express it through the way that they know how, and we're not even talking about brain development. So we're not talking about the limbic system. We're not talking about the prefrontal cortex, and how all of these things impact the way that children are wired. And then we're not even talking about medications that impact the way that they're wired. A kid who's
We're not
fidgety.
talking about food.
We're not talking about food.
That impacts mobility if they sit at home.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because they can't go outside because it's not safe or something like that. So they have to sit down and watch TV. Like it's so many different elements that are just people are in a position they just surviving. They just in routines, and routines are not beneficial. As a matter of fact, they are detrimental to emotional health, mental health, physical health.
Yes.
Spiritual health.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's things are obsolete. You talked about the churches, that exodus after COVID and everything like that. And I was talking earlier about how everything evolves. And what I see a lot is people fighting or guilty. I need to come back. Like people that make decisions, they're not coming back. So adjust.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Adjust or evolve or see how you can use technology to, do those things. You're fighting a lost battle. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just church, but I always, even with parenting, right? I always see, and we won't get into if you for or against whooping, but I see people so much. We need to get back to whooping these kids behind and different things like that and stuff like that. And like, why are we going backwards? The world has evolved. You're not raising children in the same era that you were raised in.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying, whether those things were effective or not effective is not discussion, but it's like, why are we not looking for things to add to our tool belt?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a new era. It's a
Yeah.
new day. This is a new society. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we not? You know, I don't want to go backwards, and I don't know why so many people are adamant about it.
I agree.
You know?
And my thing would, believe on church, and I hear people saying that too. And my thought was at one time too, like, man, church, they not coming back. But then I realized, just like me in the role that I'm in, like, that's my assignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if a pastor, leader, whoever, that's their assignment, like, yep, that's his assignment. I think that he or she needs to find and be creative on how to get those back in the church that want to be there, and those that no longer want to fellowship in the building should find different ways on how to reach them, right? So it's just like that evolution, of just being, because my thing is with our program, everything had to be in person. And so if you had a job, automatically, you couldn't be in the program anymore. And I had to realize, like, man, Shon, why am I punishing dude because he got a job? I want him to be employed, right? So the thing is, I had to adjust and then offer a virtual option for those who couldn't come and be present. Do I want him to be in this building? Absolutely. But as I said, what's more important? More important for me is for him to become equipped to become the best version of himself for himself and his family. The same way with the church. It's like, okay, what's most important for you? His soul. So how do I get him the information that he needs to get for him to live his best life now? And so I need to be able to provide it in person, and I need to find creative ways to get it to him or her virtually. And so, man, you guys said so much, and I think that we need to keep this conversation going. And we're not going to be able to, get it all in one setting, because I think we really need to tap in to this youth aspect, because crime and just the trauma that these kids are experiencing. It's not just it's getting out of control. It's been going on for years, but now it's just really, really, really in our face. Talk about Chicago. You talking about Philadelphia. You talk about these areas that are experiencing a lot of crime with young people. It's a problem. There are solutions, and so I think we just keep on tapping into this thing, man.
Yeah, I'd like to see how can we redesign church so that it's not about my soul, not just about my soul, but it's about job placement,
I like
education,
it. Yes, absolutely, bro.
Economics. I can go to the church and there's someone going to teach me how to do this.
Absolutely.
So how do you use the building itself to help create an economic engine for the
because if you look at it, when Jesus, right, since we talk about this, like Jesus, came for not just the soul, but Jesus was talking about economics too, right? Jesus was talking about how we live heaven on earth, right? And that's a whole different conversation. But you're absolutely correct. And I think what we need to do, man, is to bring on some young people.
I agree.
To bring on some young people.
I agree.
Get that perspective.
Yeah, get that perspective.
We would definitely think that we know what they need or what they say, stuff like that. But even with me talking with my children, like I have a way that I thought or that I think, and then I have me going back to my time when I was their age, and I'll kind of instruct from that. And sometimes they'll have to say, Dad, no, this is how it is now. And different things like that. And I can book back at them and say, no, just listen to what I'm saying, because I don't want you to go through what I'm going through. Or I can actually listen to their reality. A lot of times we parent from our reality. You know what I'm saying? And it can be helpful, but at the same time, sometimes it can be, like we said, obsolete. Because things evolve, things change, things grow. You know what I'm saying? That's just the circle of life.
Well, thank you, fellas. Do we got legit or not legit?
I do. Y'all don't have one. Yeah, come on. What's y'all legit or not legit? What y'all got?
I just know you just got over the candy. Go ahead.
No, I don't.
Go ahead, man.
No, I don't.
I'm burned out with Shon. Go ahead, Shon. What you got?
No, I'm just asking for y'all.
I don't have a legit.
George, you got one.
What's your legit? And you already said you do.
So he did say he did.
Because I'm always thinking of one just in case if y'all don't. So I want y'all to have it.
Spit it out. Like, let's just get to it.
Can the legit or not legit be about us? Not be about us.
Oh, Can it not be about
Can
you
you come up
guys?
with something else that doesn't include?
Maybe next time. Maybe next time. Maybe next time.
And then he said maybe, so it's not even sure.
Maybe next time.
So we give you a really good.
All right, no problem. George, could you put your foot up there, please?
My foot.
Yeah, could you put your foot on the table, please? I know your mama and your daddy told you
Yeah,
never put your foot on the table. Yeah, there you go. Ian, could you zoom in?
Why are we zooming in?
Could you zoom in? Could you zoom in on that
I
right
don't
here?
even think I'm gonna like
I
that.
just want to know.
These are nice.
Yeah,
I was looking at them.
How is this legit or not legit?
this is my legit or not legit, right? You guys are, come on, just talk.
Listen,
Whoa.
how you do that?
Yes, put
You got the knot.
You put a knot
Are we gonna
there.
get
Hold on. They zoomed
I
in.
don't
Did you zoom in?
necessarily
Did you
my
got the
shoes.
knot?
Yeah.
That's
like
old
tying my
school.
no,
That
I don't
is
like
old
it.
school.
That is old school and it
I don't.
works.
So like, if I get home late and I'm tired, I don't feel like bending. I got a bad back. I don't feel like bending over, so I can just slip them off. Like, so that way I ain't gotta untie or might get a knot throughout the day. So I'm just being preventative, if you will.
So the
What
lace.
is the legit?
No,
or not
wait. The lace material, is it tucked in somewhere?
I don't know what that means.
Because there's a lot of lace. They go
The shoelace.
It's
shoelace.
just
Is it
something.
tucked?
It's something that no, it's not. It's something I picked up. I just started doing it along the way, and most of my shoes are.
So you got to loose enough where it
Yeah,
doesn't.
so I can have some extra in order to do that.
Wow.
So what's your look?
Man,
I mean, that's legit.
Yeah. I
That's
guess.
just overall.
But you know what?
Can we zoom out?
All right. So no.
Because yeah.
I guess we
We've
can.
never had a 5 minute.
Because y'all don't want to see my shoe.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to see my shoe.
Look.
We've never had a 5 minute long legit or not.
Look at my shoe.
Hey,
Mine is dirty right here in the middle.
Listen, this is
I
the
don't know if you
thing.
can see mine.
No, you don't.
you
Oh,
see
look at the socks, though.
Oh
I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Turn it to the side. Boop. Can you
I
see his
got a
socks?
previous engagement. I
Okay.
gotta get to. Can we get to?
Do you see that?
Turn it.
I can't go too
Cross
far.
your
You know I
Oh my god.
Yeah.
my sock game be strong.
All right,
I'll play about that.
I'll switch the legit on
Go
that
ahead.
legit. I'm gonna be nice.
You just did all that build up.
You
to
listen,
switch
you
it
might
out.
as well hit.
But my thing is it legit or not legit? For George, every time you say like, "Yo, you got some nice shoes,"
Ooh.
and he make it seem like he got one or two pair at the crib, and they only cost me $10. They only cost me $5.99.
That's what he's telling?
They only cost me.
Remember we talked at the last legit
I heard you.
about embellishing and exaggerating.
Oh, yeah, that's
That's
true.
what's happening right
So
now.
it ain't really
That's
10.
It's not 10 at all.
So you ain't really
It's
saying 10.
not- It's not 10, but it's
I
not
only
super
spend.
expensive.
I only spend $30. All right.
Yeah,
Not
they make
10.
no $30 shoes.
So is it legit or not legit for George to be the only one to always come in on the show with like
His shoe.
you know shoe game like way
'Cause I
better
low-key
than
want
everybody else's because we
That
can't
would've
keep up.
That would have put my fit together.
Yeah. So is it legit
so
or
because
not
I mean,
legit
no,
for him
so-
to have hundreds of pair of shoes?
Hundreds?
Is it,
Hundreds?
Hundreds? What is it? What's the number? What's the number?
I have over average. I would say.
What's the number?
How would I know the number?
Around
He said
about.
No, he
Okay.
said over average though. So what's the
Yeah.
average for
So
you?
yeah, what's average?
That's
No,
what tell us.
What's
I
average?
was saying
What's
like,
average?
y'all know the answer.
Okay,
Oh, my
we-
bad,
we-
sorry.
we-
I mean,
sorry.
you
I was saying I probably have more shoes than a average guy. However, I look for deals. I have memberships at multiple places. So
Mm.
I'm not done. So I'm saying that the cost that it might appear.
You
I'm-
did tell us you had
I'm-
multiple memberships. I ain't gonna membership no. I guess it's what my shoes
Well, let me say this. Let me say this then, since y'all just ain't gonna let me go. Because I have shoes, I'm familiar with shoes, and I know that brand, and I know this brand, and I know that them specifically cost about 3 times as much as these, and I know these cost at least 2.5 times as much as these. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. No, because you're making it like
we're
I
not
have
switching the
issues.
subject.
We're
Cole,
not
don't
switching
you
the
do
Oh, my
that.
bad, my
Cole,
bad. He
The
come on.
subject was like I had a
You know,
problem,
but
he's-
like I
he
had
does-
a
he is a
spending
good
problem.
defender. You are a good
You
defender.
almost fell for
I
that.
almost fell for it
You
too.
did.
You are a
I'm
good
not
defender.
deflecting. He's making it like I have an issue. Like
Is
I
it legit or not legit
No,
for
no,
George
he's
to
not saying
have
that,
hundreds
but
of
he's
pair of
saying
shoes
you-
and showing us off and just like, oh, minimize it like it's only cost me $5, only cost me $10. I have multiple. It's 30. You did tell me 30.
I didn't tell you 30.
Is it legit or not legit?
think it's legit considering that I am a very frugal
I just lost his battery.
and
That's a great way to leave.
intentional shopper.
This
I
one
think
going.
it's legit for that reason, that I'm a very frugal and
Well,
So
intentional
this
shopper.
will really help. When you see the shoes on sale, do you say, "Hey, y'all gotta come get them"?
To anybody else? I don't, but it's a reason for that.
why? You see that? I told you.
Because people, so I don't have a particular brand. If I like them, I'm gonna get them. Everybody is not like that. Most people that
That's
are
not,
around is
he's
not
not
like that.
answering your question.
But
That
yo-
is the answer.
But
That's
you know
why I
what?
don't
But
call
he
nobody.
wears solid. So because the other shoes you had, I really like too.
Mhm.
I wish we can go back and zoom those.
Oh, them shoes,
from the other
they
day.
were they this brand though?
No, they were.
They were those are
Yeah.
Reeboks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People usually stick to Nike.
No,
or
I
stick
don't.
to Adidas
I
or
don't.
anything
What
like
I'm
that,
saying
so-
is, I need you to call me.
Okay, I can
Text
do
me
that.
and
We'll
say,
do
"Hey,
that.
Cole," because I feel like your style is my style for shoes.
He's
Okay.
not gonna call you.
Yes, he is.
You've never
I
asked,
just
so you
asked
can't
him.
say that about you. Can't say that.
Until next time. Until
I
next
asked
time.
you.
Until next time. Where's the camera?
He's never. He just he
Until
just
next
brag on
time.
me. He never
Yeah,
asked.
I know
You
he
asked.
hasn't.
Hey, we see you.
Yeah, I
We
know.
see you next week.
That was horrible.